Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite August 18th, 2021 review. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a good show. A very, very good show. Better than the last 2 weeks. This has been one of the better ones out of the 3 weeks that we've had so far. Got to admit, this was downright from bell to bell. Every match on this card was actually very entertaining. Not a whole lot of garbage thrown in here. Not a lot of filler upper stuff going on in this show. This was, every freaking match meant something, or at least gave you some kind of excitement towards what you were watching on your television. So kudos to AEW performing a very good show without even having CM Punk debut on this show. I actually admit, if CM Punk would have showed up in Houston, Texas for Dynamite, this would have been the ultimate best. This probably would have been the best Dynamite episode of all time in their entire history. And they've had some pretty damn good ones. But keep in mind that's going to be taking place at the United Center on August 20th. So keep an eye out for Rampage. I will definitely be watching that. SmackDown will not be taking place on the channel. I won't be able to do the review. I got a ton of stuff I got to do. I'm also looking at houses, looking to move into a new home and everything. So I'm not going to be able to have the time to do the review on SmackDown. If I do, I'll be lucky. And hopefully I can. If not, oh well, no big deal. Saturday is SummerSlam, so I got to focus on watching that. I may be able to watch SmackDown at least to be able to get an idea what happened on the Go Home show. Not that I expect anything exciting is going to happen, so don't keep your hopes up on me actually doing the fucking review on that show. Because, I mean, I know it does give me some good views on the channel, but bottom line, that ain't important to me. AEW Rampage is important to me instead. I mean, anything WWE product-wise, I'm not interested. I do not care. It's depressing. It's not something I want to pay attention to or really give a flying fuck for. I just happen to do these reviews on Raw and SmackDown because they do provide me very good viewership, and it does help me helps me reach out to a larger audience. These reviews for Dynamite is getting a little bit more popular. I'm getting a lot more views on there, as you guys can notice. If you look through all my previous videos on Dynamite, I was in like the 15 view range. Now I'm in the 30s. And Rampage reached 30 views. So I'm not doing too bad on reviews on Dynamite. So I'm definitely getting some momentum on AEW's content on YouTube, so that's a good thing. But let's get into the review. Enough about talking about how I'm doing on YouTube. Let's go ahead and provide you guys my view on how the show went and how the matches went. The first match on the card was a Texas Tornado match between Sting and Darby Allin versus 2.0, which used to be called Everrise, and they lost to Sting and Darby Allin. Sting actually wins by hitting the Scorpion Deathlock and creating a very large Scorpion Deathlock. He actually put both of them in the move simultaneously, making them both tap out. Before the match even took place, we were supposed to hear from Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and Daniel Garcia and 2.0 decided to attack them from behind. I think Daniel Garcia attacked Jon Moxley with a pipe to the knee, knocking him down on his feet, and they got attacked by them. Then Sting and Darby Allin came to their rescue. Also, Eddie Kingston showed up. He helped out excuse me, let me try to properly speak here. He evened out the odds for them and made things a little bit more fair in getting rid of Daniel Garcia. So kudos to them. Jon Moxley actually later on in the show, just before the main event, he actually cut a beautiful promo talking about how he held the AEW World Championship and held the flag and the company on his back throughout the entire pandemic in front of nobody the entire year in 2020, and gave his all for this company. And that is 100% true. He has busted his ass. He talks about Christian in his promo, talking about how this guy is getting a world championship opportunity. Kenny Omega being the world champion, having multiple guys surrounding him to keep him as world champion, and pretty much saying he's pretty much a pussy, which I kind of agree with. In the sense of the character, not Kenny Omega personally. But bottom line, I mean, he cut down through everything going on in AEW, and he felt he is the best world heavyweight champion in AEW of all time. And out of the 3 world champions they've already had in their history so far in the last 2 years, I have to agree with him. Jon Moxley is the best world heavyweight champion that AEW's ever had so far. This guy performed in front of hardly anyone, busted his ass, brought Brody Lee to a great match. Not that Brody Lee needed Jon Moxley to do that, but he and Brody Lee had a great match at Double or Nothing in 2020. He had a match with MJF and made MJF look really good and beat him with his maneuver that he was not allowed to use in his match defending his world title, which everyone was saying, oh, MJF is beating Moxley for the world title at All Out last year. Yeah, I wasn't buying that shit for 1 second. Not for 1 second. I didn't think he was going to lose that title at all. I thought that title was going straight to Kenny Omega, which I was right about that. I've been right so far on these title transitions among these guys so far and the path they're going with. And I still say Hangman Page is next in line to take the title off of Kenny Omega. So keep an eye out for that, guys. So yeah, Sting and Darby Allin win the Texas Tornado match against 2.0. This actually was a full-fledged street fight that went all over the place around the arena. And it was pretty barbaric and nuts. I mean, not like barbaric where we saw like a lot of weapons and shit like that, but just more of like, you know, crazy shit going on and throughout the stands and shit like that. But that's pretty much it. Sammy Guevara was shown proposing to his girlfriend Pam and asking her if she would want to marry him. She said yes. Congratulations to Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, I have to admit, he has turned into a fantastic face. I like him better than a heel, to be quite frank with you. Now, don't get me wrong, heel Sammy Guevara was just as good as face Sammy Guevara. He's believable in both characters, but he makes me... The way he came across as a heel, he really came across looking like a fucking total prick. But then again, so does MJF, and they're doing their job. They're making me hate their guts, which is what they're supposed to do as a heel. So kudos to him and what he does in the ring. No doubt about it, Sammy Guevara is one of the best wrestlers of the young talent that they got on that roster. I mean, everyone talks about MJF this and MJF that. Yeah, he's a good wrestler. He's got the personality of a good wrestler, but he doesn't have the in-ring ability that Sammy Guevara has. Sammy Guevara has it. Another guy, Ricky Starks, is another person that has that it factor to him that he will eventually at some point become a main eventer. Somewhere down the line, I can definitely see him main eventing once or twice as a world champion, possibly. TNT Championship is just waiting for him at some point. I guarantee you by next year, we will see Ricky Starks as the TNT champion. And since I'm speaking of Sammy Guevara, why not have those two in a rivalry over the TNT championship next year after Miro has some time with that title and moves on to something else? I mean, that would be fucking awesome. Those two guys going at it. So definitely some great ideas I think that I'm coming up with. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think of my feelings on Sammy Gavar and Ricky Starks competing over the TNT Championship next year. I think that would be a cool idea. Two youngsters trying to compete over a good mid-card title like the TNT Championship. I think that would be great for both of them. So the next match, though, was Sammy Gavar versus Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears loses this match. I like the fact that Sammy Gavar got the W here, but I'm feeling a little, bad for Shawn Spears. The guy has got a interesting gimmick. I like his character. I like his, chemistry that he has with Tully Blanchard, which, if they didn't even have this faction, I kind of see him being able to succeed with Tully Blanchard as his manager. But every time they put him on television, and it looks like he's got some kind of opportunity to move forward with this gimmick, he always seems to be falling short and taking an L. It's like watching Humberto Carrillo fucking losing all the time. Only this guy, Shawn Spears, has a better character than Humberto Carrillo. So who gives a shit, man? I mean, Shawn Spears needs to be treated with some respect. I think this guy is being placed in bad situations that he just does not need to be in. I think it really sucks that he's got a guy like Tully Blanchard. They have great chemistry, yet he's not given the type of treatment he should be given and at least looked at as a mid-card champion. Possibly somewhere down the line competing over the TNT Championship. They got a lot of good guys that compete over that TNT title. Honestly, I think the next guy that should take the TNT Championship from Miro should be Sammy Guevara. Easily. With no questions asked. The only other person I would actually take the title off of Miro for would be Orange Cassidy, but they would have to start getting him back to where he was last year when he was going up against Chris Jericho, because right now he's kind of falling off the rails in my opinion. But yeah, this match was really good. Shawn Spears and Sammy Guevara did a great job together. They produced a really good match. Honestly, I don't even think this match belonged on this card. Personally, I felt this match could have been on All Out, which, by the way, All Out's got the Big Show. He no longer goes by the Big Show. He's done with that name. He is Paul White. He's going by his real name. At least I think that's his real name. If I'm wrong, oh well, who gives a shit? But yeah, Paul White is going up against fucking fucking nobody, man. The guy is going up against a fucking nobody at All Out. I don't understand this. Why the hell is he going up against a guy like fucking QT Marshall, man? Like, what the hell? QT Marshall. The fuck is he going up against QT Marshall? I mean, literally, he sucks. That's number one. Number two, what the hell does Big Show, Paul White, need to be on All Out for? If anything, he should be on the pre-show, number one. And if they wanted to put him in a wrestling capacity, why didn't they just book him for Dynamite? At least it could have been something they could have opened the show up with, have him have a big win over QT Marshall, and we move on from this shit. We don't have to make this a pay-per-view match. This match is a pay-per-view match over Sammy Guevara and fucking Shawn Spears, for God's sakes? Come on, man. Shawn Spears and Sammy Guevara was having a storyline being built off of Pinnacle versus Inner Circle, man. That was the big hype up throughout the entire summer. And after Double or Nothing, I mean, come on, man. That's fucking ridiculous. So, I totally disagree with the booking of that match taking place at fucking All Out. I mean, if it's on the pre-show, I guess I'm okay with that idea. At least it's not on the main card, because this does not belong on a main card. But pre-show, I'd be alright with. Dynamite, I would even feel is a better suit for this match. The fucking, or even Rampage, if you want to have it as the opener, since it's only an hour show. But fucking All Out, it's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard. That's one thing they did here that really it pretty much stuck out at me like a sore thumb. Really, it was sad. I don't understand that, man. But yeah, Sammy Guevara wins the match with a GTH maneuver and gets a 1-2-3. He actually ends up making Shawn Spears bleed from his forehead because of knee shots that he was delivering on Shawn Spears just before he hit his finishing maneuver. So that was pretty nuts. Tony Schiavone is with Christian Cage, and he's interrupted by Don Callis, who reminds him of putting on national television back in Winnipeg. Christian cuts off Don's patronizing, and he knows he's in Kenny's head, and he tells Don that he'll always be a carny piece of shit. And that gets a laugh out of Tony Schiavone during that segment, which I thought was fucking downright hilarious. We then get Dan Lambert. Yes, Dan Lambert. He was actually on Dynamite at one point, a couple of weeks or a couple of months back. Talking about how pro wrestling in today's modern day era has been absolute trash. AEW is not the savior of pro wrestling. And it is pretty much a dying sport. Don Lambert's the one of the guys that work at America's Top Team, and he pretty much again was doing the same promo he did last time when he was on the show. He did a great job, though. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, he played a better heel than most of the fucking people on WWE. He cut a better promo than any of the guys on WWE. That must say something. He was going off the cuff. He didn't have a script. He wasn't told what to say. He just was given the idea of where he needed to go with the promo, and he just spit it and said what he had to say in the ring during his segment. And he did an excellent job. He was a fucking total prick. I loved how he fucking shit on pro wrestling. And he made himself out to be a complete asshole. And maybe maybe that wasn't an act. Maybe that is who he is. He's a fucking dickwad. But hey, he did a great job. And they had two great former UFC world champions from the heavyweight division on the show. That has got to say something about AEW. They have attracted UFC guys on the show. Junior Dos Santos is still performing in UFC. He still gets fights here and there throughout the entire year. The guy is, old. He's won it multiple times, I believe. I think he's at least won the UFC heavyweight title twice. And Andrei Arlovsky, he's won it at least once. And, I mean, these two guys are fucking legends in UFC. At least in the heavyweight division. And to have them on this show was very impressive to see. I mean, Amanda Nunes being on there was even more impressive because she's a current day world champion in her weight class and is considered to be one of the best. She took the spot from Ronda Rousey once she sent her home packing in 2000 and I think it was 16 or 17. I mean, she kicked her fucking ass. So that's some really good stuff. For them to even have stars like that from UFC appearing in an AEW ring or by ringside, it's just amazing. I think that is absolutely awesome. But yeah, he pretty much shit all over AEW, pro wrestling as a whole. He said the fans are a bunch of creepy pieces of shit that sit in their basements, playing Dungeons and Dragons and medieval time uniforms and suits or whatever the hell you want to say, looking at the dark web and looking at some creepy, disturbing shit. So, the guy was fucking perfect for the role he was playing, man. He was coming across like a complete fucking dick. And I loved it. I thought it was fucking awesome. And Lance Archer comes out to beat Dan once more, but he is attacked by the Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Wow. Out of fucking nowhere, they finally show up and they're defending this guy Dan Lambert? Wow, that's some fucked up shit, man. Really fucked up shit. I can't believe that crap. But yeah, they finally have them booked for something that they could utilize them on the show. By the way, I didn't see Lance Archer with the IWGP US Championship. I don't know if that means he's not the US champ. I haven't watched the Resurgence pay-per-view show that took place on the 14th. I will be watching that tomorrow and providing you guys a review on that. Since Thursday is my off day, I'll make it up with that day that I take off normally during the week and give you guys my review on that. So keep an eye out for that later on Thursday night. But yeah, that's pretty much what took place at that segment. And then the AEW tag team titles were on the line. Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. I thought this match was superb. Probably right up there with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks. This was a awesome match. Amazing match. Young Bucks, though, did cheat a little bit to get this victory. There was a little bit of distraction taking place. But man, was this a fucking awesome tag team title match. If anything, if you didn't have Jericho versus MJF on the card, this would have been your main event. Hands down, this was a fucking great match. Very entertaining stuff. A lot of close falls, a lot of great action. Either one of these two teams could have won this match. Bottom line, I thought it was very entertaining. I wanted Jurassic Express to win this match, but unfortunately they didn't go that route. But that's fine. That is fine because Jurassic Express is now in a tournament. It was announced later on after this match that there will be a tournament taking place. I think it's a 4-team tournament. So we should see 4 different matches take place in the next 3 episodes. Dynamite and Rampage, and then Rampage again on the 27th. So we should see, give them plenty of time to do that tournament to then crown a number 1 contender to face the Young Bucks inside a steel cage. Perfect setup. That is a perfect setup. That is a co-main event type match. I would put that very close to the main event. Most definitely. That is a fucking great idea. And if anything, I would go right back to the Jurassic Express to win this tournament and then go on to the steel cage match and have them win the tag team titles. The only other team I'd be okay with outside of Jurassic Express would be the Lucha Brothers. The Lucha Brothers winning the tournament would be fine, and them beating the Young Bucks, I would be totally fine with that. But outside of those 2 tag teams, I don't really care for either one of the other tag teams that are on the in the tournament, because they haven't done what those. Lucha Brothers have been kind of off. They've been just really not doing a whole lot of anything, but fucking Jurassic Express has been the best team out of the bunch they got listed in this tournament right now. So, I really still personally felt that maybe they should have went with Jurassic Express winning the match, and then they could have just had this in a steel cage match, possibly. That would have worked with me. It would have saved us a tournament, because I don't really think a tournament is necessary. The legit team that deserves this title and a title shot is Jurassic Express still. So, tag team wrestling in AEW has not been a focal point, at least with the tag team division, with challenging for the tag team titles. Just in my personal opinion, because I just haven't seen it as much as they did last year. Last year, they were very focused on tag team wrestling, and throughout the early portion when they first started in 2019. So, I mean, I don't know what happened. Tag team wrestling in AEW kind of fell off the rails a little bit. But they have been, starting to get back on track with that, especially with this match. This match was fucking amazing match. Very entertaining stuff. If you didn't like this match, you don't like wrestling. Period. But yeah, the Young Bucks retain their tag team titles. Post-match, Gallows is shown carrying Christian on his shoulders as the Elite beat all the good guys down. Don Callis stomps on Christian. Omega nails a one-wing angel on Christian as Don administers a 3 count. Then Kenny puts his foot over Christian Cage's chest, and the Elite celebrate in the middle of the ring, holding their titles up in the air. And that's pretty much how that segment went. Tony is backstage with Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. Red Velvet played dumb. She made friends with Chris Statlander. Jamie says she and Britt go way back. Why don't they pick up where they left off? She and Red Velvet next week. Brett says gold is not Red's color either. And that's pretty much that segment. Nothing special happened there. Just, a lot of bickering about how, Red Velvet is not a worthy challenger for the AEW Women's title. And yet she's still cheered by the fans. It's kind of like Steve Austin's situation back when he first started becoming big. When he was trying to be pushed as a heel, but ultimately was just a babyface that everybody can not dislike. So I kind of see the same thing with Britt Baker, and I said this last week. For some reason, the best friends think big money Matt Hardy is beating on Wheeler, Utah. He tells Orange Cassidy if he continues to stick his lazy nose in his business, he'll kick that lazy nose off his face. Orange Cassidy responds saying, we'll see about that, and it was announced that next Dynamite, we will be seeing Orange Cassidy and Matt Hardy one-on-one, which should be a good match, but I don't know, man. I hope they have Orange Cassidy win, because he definitely deserves a victory here. It's been a while since he's gotten a win over a decent name. Tony Schiavone introduces his friend Paul White, formerly known as Big Show. You all know how all this went down. A little bit more in detail, because I didn't really go in much detail what brought this all on. QT Marshall said, look, Tony Schiavone brought you in here to be an announcer, so why don't you be an announcer and enjoy your retirement? You don't have to wrestle. You've been through enough. They show pictures of him having surgery and even showing the stitches where the operation took place on hip replacements. He said the man has had about 5 hip replacements, I believe he said, within the last 8 months. And he says, you're not physically fit to wrestle anymore, man. You are over the hill. Enjoy retirement and be an announcer. Play a part in AEW, but you don't have to be in the ring. Kind of like we've all been saying since he's joined AEW. I don't particularly think that Paul White needs to perform in the ring. I think I've heard him talk on the microphone a couple of times on Dark. Just to hear him talk, he doesn't sound bad. I'd be okay with him being an announcer on Rampage with Tony Schiavone. I think they would be great together. They sound fine on Dark. I really don't have any issues with Paul White doing announcing. He's very good at it. He's not terrible. He sounds very professional. He doesn't sound like, Jericho, on the other hand. Jericho's good on commentary, but he screams way too fucking much. I have to say one thing. I was going to say I agree with JD from New York 206. He actually mentioned this on his review. I didn't happen to state this yet, but I have to agree with JD, man. He stated the truth. Jericho's very good at what he does commentary-wise, but when he yells and screams, he gets so lost in the shuffle on what he needs to say. He fucks up sometimes when he talks, when he's yelling and screaming, getting all excited and crazy. He loses track of what he needs to say and shit, and he just stumbles on his words, which I have no business talking. I fully admit that I stumble on my words when I do these reviews, but you all know what I know. I have a brain. I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to professional wrestling. So that's why you guys tune in. It's not because I talk so well. It's because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I greatly appreciate for the people that do subscribe to this channel. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe now. I'll just get that out of the way. But I'll probably mention it at the end of the video anyway, like I always do. But yeah. Jericho's not the best talker on the microphone when it comes to announcing when he does all that yelling shit. He needs to tone it down. Paul White does sound calmer. He sounds more professional. He sounds like a real legit commentator on the mic when he's doing commentary on the matches that take place during the show. I actually like what he does. I don't think he's bad. Taz is probably the best color commentator you'll ever meet outside of Jerry the King Lawler. That's all I have to say on that. Because Jerry the King Lawler is not just, good at analyzing a match with Jim Ross like they used to do back in the day, but he's just downright fucking funny sometimes when he used to announce with Jim Ross. But yeah, I am not really interested in this QT Marshall versus I should stop saying Big Show. This Paul White QT Marshall match. I am not a big fan of this match taking place on a all-out card. As long as it's not on the main card, I guess I'd be alright with it. We get a cut to Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling. Cargill is actually issuing a challenge to Kiera Hogan, who's just been released from Impact Wrestling. She didn't re-sign with them, and she's moved on to AEW. Apparently, she's signed a contract with them, and they will be competing at Rampage this coming Friday. So, finally, Jade will be performing in front of a crowd, and in front of a large crowd, may I add. So that might be very interesting to watch. Taz is in the ring with Hook, by the way. We get mention that he introduces Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks wanted to have a face-to-face confrontation with Brian Cage, but unfortunately he was attacked by Will Hobbs backstage before he could even stand face-to-face with Ricky Starks, and it was all pretty much a setup, as you could tell, based on what you saw in the footage from AEW Dynamite tonight. So, nothing special there. Still, we have yet to see Brian Cage and Ricky Starks build towards a meaningful storyline here, outside of the fact that they're just continuously having him get his ass kicked, and that's pretty much it. Tony Schiavone is now backstage with Death Triangle, and Pac tells Andrade anywhere, anytime. He wants El Dalbo. I can't fucking pronounce his last name. I mean, you know something that's funny? AEW uses the last name, and yet it's a fucking hard way to pronounce. I have a hard time pronouncing it, yet Andrade Cien is actually easier to pronounce, and WWE figured it was a good idea to cut the last name off because they think it would have been too difficult for announcers and fans to pronounce. Are you fucking kidding me? What a bunch of dumbasses. This This is fucking retarded. Anyway, in comes Andrade, though, with Chavo, and if Pac wants this match, he has to agree to one condition, and this isn't quite revealed yet, though. But one thing that I will mention to you guys, he whips out a fucking contract that looks like the size of a big giant book that you could find in college. I mean, this motherfucker was huge. It looked like the size of the freaking Bible, for God's sakes. It looked like it was 1,000 pages long. It was nuts. Absolutely freaking nuts. I don't even know what the hell kind of there must be a lot of conditions under this 1,000-page contract that he's got for Pac to run through. I'd be like, what the hell you want me to do? Read a fucking book? I thought this is supposed to be a contract agreement for us to face each other at freaking All Out. You got me reading a book? What the fuck? So we get match 4 with Penelope Ford and Thunder Rosa. This was an okay women's match. Thunder Rosa actually picks up the victory here and walks away victorious. I got a gut feeling that we are definitely seeing Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker eventually face each other down the road. I can imagine that Thunder Rosa will be winning that women's championship from Britt Baker eventually somewhere down the line. And I have a gut feeling it'll be by next year at Revolution. That's when we should see that title change probably take place. I mean, they got a few other women they could run through with Britt Baker before they pass the title on to Thunder Rosa anyway. So the main event, they had MJF go one-on-one with Chris Jericho. Unfortunately, MJF won this matchup just like I thought they would. I knew MJF was going to win this match, but I thought maybe there was a chance Jericho was going to win. He hesitated at the end. He was going to deliver Judas Effect. The referee was not seeing what was going on in the middle of the ring. Her back was turned because she was trying to put away this diamond ring that MJF won a long time ago, and she was trying to put it away, and her back was turned. So Jericho utilized that opportunity by using the baseball bat Floyd to MJF, and then tried to hit the Judas Effect, but unfortunately, he stopped in mid-motion because apparently he was trying to follow the rules, but the referee's back was turned, so why didn't he just go for it? He hesitated. He pretty much beat himself in this match, if you really want to get down to it. Jericho beat himself in this match. And MJF applied an inverted arm bar on Chris Jericho, and Jericho tried to get out of the hold. It was being applied to his bad arm where he injured that arm, and he had to wear that arm brace on his arm throughout most of the summer. And he tried his best to get out of it, but unfortunately he was unable to, and he tapped in the middle of the ring, and that's how the match ended overall. And Jericho lost. He looked pretty disappointed, and that was pretty much how the show went off the air at that point. So that was pretty much your overall Dynamite episode. I don't think this was a bad show whatsoever. Better than the last 2 episodes we got. And those 2 episodes weren't terrible. They were pretty decent. But this was far better. I mean, really, a really good show. I enjoyed this show very much. I hope you guys did as well. If you didn't, leave your comments down below. Let me know why you didn't enjoy this show. And you can collaborate with me about your feelings on the show and what made you feel differently than I did. I'd love to hear from you guys. So leave your comments down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Hit the like button if you liked the video, of course. And as always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.